Hello everyone, this is Bella's Crocheted Gifts. I'm Bella, welcome. Today we are going to go over, I'm calling it the Ghost of Projects Past. Okay, so let's start with my very first foyer back into, I'm probably saying that's totally wrong. Anyways, my first journey back into yarn. My grandma had taught me to knit when I was, 10, maybe younger, maybe older. But she taught me how to knit, and pretty much all I made was pot holders, like just squares of fabric and like knitted fabric, and that's all I could do. And if I ever made a mistake, because she lived in Twin Falls, which is in Idaho, and we lived in Idaho Falls, which was like 3 hours away, 2.5, 3 hours. Anyways, and so I never knew how to fix a mistake, and we only saw them for like 1 week a summer, so I really didn't get a huge grasp of how to do much with knitting. So all I could make was a pot holder, and I remember making or trying to make a scarf one time when I was in Twin Falls, and I dropped a stitch, and I was like probably like maybe that far into it, and so I pulled it all out, made a huge mess, spent 3 hours trying to roll it back into a ball, and by then I was like, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to knit anymore. This is too frustrating. So I gave it up. And then I went away to college in northern Idaho, and the first year I was there, the weather was much different than southern Idaho, and I was freezing. Like, the air was so cold that I felt like I didn't want to inhale because it was so cold. And so I'm like, I am going to knit myself a scarf. And I did. So I made, it's gonna tower. Okay, don't fall. Okay, so I made this. I still have it. It was just, it was a slightly variegated, it went like, I don't know if I can show it to you really well. It's a light yarn, dark yarn together, just all interspersed. You can kind of see it a little bit. So I made this, and then I'm like, I want tassels. So I borrowed a crochet hook from my sister, who had taught herself to crochet from some books, and I'm like, I want tassels. So I borrowed a crochet hook, which I think I never gave back, but I put tassels on, and I was like, I can crochet. How hard can it be? I can knit. Yeah. So I made the most god-awful blanket, and I swear I still have it, and I have no idea where it is. Like, I thought it was in with these top two blankets because I remember them being together, and I have no idea where it went. But it was variegated army colors. Don't know why. I don't know if it was on clearance or a sale or what. Don't like army colors, but it was army colors. So it was that. It was like kind of a cream and like an olivey green. But the funny thing about this blanket is I had no idea what I was doing. So the sides kind of went like this as it went down the blanket. Like, I didn't have straight sides at all. And it was so bad. And like I said, I swear I have it somewhere. I just don't know where it went. So I was like, I'm gonna get this. And so, and of course I didn't start small. I'm not like, oh, let's make some scarves. No, I'm like blankets. Did a scarf, knitted. Now we're going to blankets. And I made, let's see, this is technically the second one. I made this gigantic, huge 6-foot blanket. It keeps going and going and going. And there's the end. Huge blanket. And I did not tuck a single end in this blanket. I didn't know how. I didn't know that was a thing. So technically this was my my third blanket, because I remember doing this blue one first, which also is gigantic. Okay, so here's the start, and it keeps going and going and going and going and going, and there's the end. It's huge. It's also like 6 feet. I mean, so I made these. I made that original scarf when I was in the dorm. I was in the dorm for 2 years, and then I moved in with my fiance, who became my husband. Anyways, so I made those while we were in the apartment. So that was my last 2 years of college. And I was like, I'm going to put these on a table at my wedding. And I did. But I'm like, I'm making stuff for myself. But the funny thing is, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. So this blanket, for anyone who knows how to crochet, will look at this and go, there's something wrong there. Like something really wrong. Now, let's see if I can show you the fabric. So if you're looking at this side, it doesn't look all that unusual. When you look at this side, everyone kept saying, it looks knitted. And I'm like, what? It's crocheted. I used a hook. So the thing is, those two entire 6-foot blankets were made using a slip stitch. Let that sink in. A slip stitch. And I didn't know you turn your work. Nope. I slip stitch backwards and forward and backwards and forward. So 6-foot blankets out of one side slip stitches. Oh, yeah, that was a journey. And thankfully I had a friend who knew what she was doing. She taught me to granny square. And pretty much I fell in love with the granny square. I have made, I don't know, countless blankets, baby blankets, big blankets, blocks, full, just huge granny square blankets. I've made variations on the granny. I've done so many different things. So these two, yep, they were my first. I really wish I could find that other blanket. I would love to show it to you because it is hideous. So my first ever granny square blanket, I kept it, is this. I found this acrylic at a little store called Robert's. Yeah, Roberts in Idaho Falls, and it was on sale. They were just little cute skeins for like $1.49. I was like, I must have them all. So I bought them all. And just the different color array. I just loved it. And I'm like, this is gonna be for my kid. But then I never had kids, so but I'll keep it for me anyway. I still love it. Okay. So that was all before I was married. I got married in 2004, and my husband got an internship at NOAA in Boulder, Colorado for the summer in 2005. And I was there all by myself, like all through the day, because he was at work and I was doing nothing. So I'm like, I'm gonna make blankets. We'll start with this one. Of course, I can't do anything small. Of course, I didn't know how, but still. This gigantic Christmas blanket. And my friend showed me how to attach the squares in a way that made it kind of a diamond pattern. So, like, as it goes across, it makes the diamonds. And then in the very center, I made, ooh, can you see it all? So there's 5 blocks that are white. I know it's hard to see. Yep. So I made that. And it turned out great. And of course I didn't know what I was doing. So of course I have the tiniest little tails that won't stay tucked. This is currently a cat blanket, so it's not a huge deal. But my kitty Salem loves it. Sits out on my couch out front. And then this, there was a big leather chair that was really cold because our apartment, you know, we'd never had air conditioning before, so the apartment was cold, and this leather chair was so cold to sit on. So I made my first ripple blanket. And it is burgundy and black, and it goes from here, 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 here. I cannot make a small blanket to there. There's the end. Yeah. So that's another 6-foot blanket. I don't know what my idea was. So those were some of my very first, ooh, I got kitty fluff. My very first projects that I've done. And then later, after I was married, I decided I was gonna make a Santa hat. No pattern. I'm like, I can do this. I've done things, so I started making it, and I have a picture of it sitting on my head with this little tiny thing coming off the back. I was like, that looks terrible. So I whitened it and then put the front post, back post, and then I made a little ball, which looks like it needs to be tucked again. And I put, I didn't have any batting, so I put a grocery sack in there. That's a grocery sack. And then I was like, I'm gonna do a scarf. And so I did. Just a double crochet scarf with a front post, back post ribbing detail. So I did that. And I'm pretty sure, like 90% sure, this was made with Mainstay from Walmart, because I wasn't a huge fan of Red Heart Super Saver even back then. And I'm not sure how I figured it out, because I don't remember reading patterns back then. I might have read a pattern. Made mittens. Yep. So I made those probably around 2006 or 7. But yay. I know I didn't have one for a pattern for this, and this was easy, so I think I might have found a pattern for that. Because at that time, I was 2005, I was working at Joann's, and so I collected all kinds of books and yarn, novelty yarns. I have got some stuff from very, very odd yarns. I've got, like, that was when Fun Fur first came out, you know, the eyelash yarns and such. I made so many Fun Fur scarves, and I sold them at my mom's office. A lot of the ladies bought my stuff, mostly my mom. She has a whole drawer, a whole dresser drawer full of scarves I've made. But I mean, I wasn't doing much. They liked them. I don't know. I feel a little guilty for selling my stuff at my mom's office, but I was out of college, didn't really have much of a job. I mean, working at Joann's, but it kept me in yarn, so that was nice. Oh, one of my oldest whips, speaking of granny squares, I was still in college, and I started the most ridiculously small blanket that I was someday, oh, where's another one, going to put together. I think, do I have a blue? Not yet. Okay. So there were 4 colors. Ooh, I had started to put it together. That's as far as I got. It's, yeah. It's so old. That's like one of my oldest whips. I do have one more. It's in a bag, but I am not even sure what the pattern is. I would have to look really hard at what the pattern is, because it's a ripple blanket, so it makes V shapes, but it's not necessarily a granny style, like there's holes in it, but I'm really not sure what it is, and I am 90% sure I did not leave a pattern book in there with it, so that will be a challenge. I really want to, not necessarily the granny square blanket. I know I could put that together, and it's just time consuming and I have better things to do. But I do have a plan to try and finish that blue ripple blanket sometime, just because it's like, it looks really nice and it will make a nice gift for somebody. I just know that like, it's a challenge. Like, the granny square blanket's like, I can do that whenever I feel like it, but that one I'll have to look at and put some thought into it. So all right, let's see. I think that's all I was planning on talking about today. If I ever come across that blanket, that first one, I will totally show you. I'm not trying to hide it from you. I tried to find it tonight, but didn't happen. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys had a good time. I know I did. All right.